Hi, Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for discovering this channel. If it's the first time you found me and Now Spinning Magazine itself, so please subscribe, please ring that bell, and if you want to help more after you've watched this and you think, this is worth tuning into, then think about becoming a patron and supporting me to make more content for you as I progress and develop this channel. So what is this video about? Well, okay, there's a clue. This is a classic album review. It could be put under the tagline of every home should have one, because every home should have one, or you should all have a go or attempt to listen to this before we fall off this mortal coil. So this is 1981. Well, I suppose it could be 82ish or even later actually when I found it, because I didn't know anything about Mother's Finest. I was living in Solihull and I was a member of the Solihull Public Library, where you could go and borrow albums, and because albums are very expensive on the ratio to wages and stuff. So I'd gone into Solihull on the bus and I'd gone to the library and I was going through the racks and I wanted to find something and discover something new, something to tell my mates about and say, have you heard of this band? And as I was going through the racks, I came across this. Now, you also got it on, there's a couple of CD versions I'll mention. But obviously the cover reminded me of the film Alien. And it looked very sci-fi, and in fact it was inspired by that. And I'd never heard of them, and on the back cover there's just a picture of a robot alien, or something like that. Nothing about the band themselves. Although it says that the vocalist was called Baby Jean, so it could be a female vocalist. Glenn Murdoch was lead and rhythm guitar. Wizzard, spelt with two Z's, was on bass. Moses was on guitar, and BB on drums. And it was produced and engineered by Jeff Glixman. Now that was a name I knew, and I knew he was involved with rock music. So, but it was the titles. All the Way, well, that could be not necessarily rock music. Earthling, Evolution, gone with The Rain, and these aren't in the order of the tracks either. Love Drug, Moving On, Rock and Roll Tonight, with Tonight spelled to night. You, Turn Me On. I thought, worth a go in it. You know, I'm a member of the library. You know, see what happens. So I took it home. And again, I've said this before, I always try and make sure that the parents were out. So upstairs, record player. Turned everything up to 11, as much as my speakers would cope. And the needle went down. And the first track was called Moving On. My God. The guitars, the drums and the bass, the rattling bass between the drums, okay, guitars, and the bass in the middle. How much time you listen to rock music and the bass is kind of there, kind of like a feeling almost. Not a feeling on this. The bass, you can almost visualize the vibrating bass strings. The space between, as the guitar chords hang and the vocals come in. I just knew that what I'd found in the public library was going to be an album event. Well, in those days, you can't say the year, it's just like an album event. And I just thought, I have found gold here. I have found something that is undiscovered gold. The next track was called Love Drug, and the guitar sound, it was like Van Halen, Montrose. That guitar sound, this wasn't Ted Templeman. Jeff Glixman could have been the next Ted, who knows? But the guitar sound and the Rock and Roll Tonight, You Turn Me On. There was obviously female vocals, and there was also male vocals depending on the tracks. But they shared the vocals, and all the way, the guitar riff, on that is just stunning. The riffs on Evolution. It's just so powerful. It's just so life-affirming. It's not so much punch the air riffs. It's like it made me realise just how fantastic and how lucky I was to be alive when rock music had been invented. I remember thinking, gosh, I could have been born 20 years earlier or 50 years earlier. I wouldn't have known any of this. I would have missed this. This was so monumental. I just loved it, and all the ways to say it was great track. Now, this is a band, when you look at see if I can show you this, they were a mixed race band, which was quite unusual for rock bands in the early 80s. It isn't now, but it was then. And Baby Jean was a black vocalist, she's a bit like Tina Turner, but singing heavy metal. And my God, her voice is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. And this would be, if I was thinking of making a list of my top 10 metal, heavy hard rock albums, this would be in it. After all the years that rolled by, there's a Wounded Bird edition on CD as well, which sounds great. This is the Rock Candy version, which sounds even greater. It is amazing. Now, the thing is, Mother's Finest, as I started to explore backwards and forwards through their catalogue, is they were massive in Germany, and but I think they were finding it difficult, kind of like a mixed race band, not knowing where they looked, and there was lots of funk in their music, but metal funk. Think about Dan Reed and bands like that, Living Colour. These guys were way ahead of the time zones with this stuff, really. But the album that came out after this was almost pure disco, and the album before this was mixed as well. So it was kind of like somebody must have said, I think we should concentrate on rock music, so give that a whirl. And so they did. This is what came out, Iron Age, and it must have confused other fans, and it probably didn't have any promotion in this country, I don't think. And so they must have thought that didn't work, so we'll change direction again. And the follow-up album was more literally disco, and that must have confused the people who bought this. But the two live albums are great, by the way, and then they've done Black Music Won't Play This album. That's another one that's worth covering, I think, at a later date. But this is just a super album. Time, Gone with the Rain, Earthling, but Illusion, Come Over to My House. Oh, it's such a great riff. But all the way has got like it sinks down at one part and halfway through, and Baby Jean just sings the emotion in her voice and the intent in her voice and the way the guitars are recorded. The sound stage is just as it's like you've been invited to the sound check before everyone else comes in, and you're 3 rows from the front. It sounds live, but I think what makes this so fantastic is the bass, the recording of the bass guitar. The guitars are slabs of metal, but the drums and the bass are just fantastic, and some of the way that they move from different sections of the songs. This is a great rock album, and I mentioned earlier in the video that I said Montrose, Van Halen, and this. I will stick with that. I would stick with that if I had to. And I know I'm a big Purple fan who now want to do Burn. If I'm talking about metal albums from that period that kind of like really have a feel, they make me feel a certain way, then yeah, Montrose, Van Halen, and Iron Age by Mother's Finest. That's a trio of records that really work for me. So I would recommend, I think the vinyl one is going to be very hard to find, so I'm not going to suggest it. But the Rock Candy one is being remastered, reloaded, as they call it. It's got a 4,000 word essay, as they all have, but it sounds brilliant. So let me know what you think. Yes, stream it, give it a whirl, and then get hold of a copy, put it on, get your air guitar out, turn up your air amp to 11, close your eyes, throw your head back, punch the air, and hit the ground running for the first track moving on. So thank you for watching, thank you for tuning in, thank you for subscribing and ringing that little bell thing and being part of the Now Spinning journey. It's great having you here. Stay safe, keep spinning those records, and I shall see you on my next video.